This is my new Zen 12x12 3D F8 lead screw CNC machine. A couple things to note. I added some angle aluminum to lower the spindle on this model, because if you mount it here where it's intended to be mounted, the tool does not make it all the way down to the table. I think because they were intending people to mount 3D printing heads there. Also, I added this angle, this brace. It's flat steel, 45-degree angles, because the gantry was shaking far too much. Now it's very, very rigid and it doesn't shake when I'm cutting. It doesn't move very much anyway. I wired in so far all the limit switches on all the axes. I also added a switch to turn off the stepper motors. Don't really know how that adds anything. I obviously added an e-stop, and this is my variable speed knob for my spindle. I countersunk that inside because the material was too thick for it to stick out. I have not yet wired my home switches. I need to get to that. It's also kind of related to my auto zeroing plate that I made. I just wired this up for the future. Same thing here. This is just the top part of that, and I have to figure out how I'm gonna spring that against the back of the shaft, spindle shaft. So this is the basic mechanical setup, and under here I have everything else mounted, the circuitry. I'm using a breakout board with a spindle relay, so I've got my spindle driver wired into the breakout board, and I have all the individual stepper drivers there, and I'm also planning on adding a fourth axis here in the near future, so I can expand on that very easily. This is the power supply for the spindle, and there's the power supply for the stepper motors. I'm using a USB to power the breakout board, and it runs back to my computer, which is just sitting on top of my workbench. So all this is in my garage, and I live in Florida, so it could flood very easily. So eventually I'll also move those wires off the ground. But this is the basic setup, and I'm also using the 2010 screen set. So I'll run the program that cut out these little pieces, very rough. It was my first cut, and I'll just leave the Z axis up high. So I'll start the cycle, and the spindle kicks on, and it's just cutting it out, you know, in midair. So nothing really to see there. Just wanted to show off what I've done and hear feedback, and maybe somebody can give me an opinion on how I should mount my home switches, or if they see anything that's wrong or should be changed, let me know. Thank you.